talking about heretics,
Uh-huh.
there's something that was really, really interesting for me more than anything else during our tour, is when you spoke about the connection between the seven vices of the West and the chakra of the East. The eyes of the people coming alive
Really?
when you were speaking about that.
Oh, yeah.
It was people were just like so excited about this
Oh.
very new thing. But did say something about dance as being really the opening up of the chakras, opening up. That is this how do you say, this healing from devices that are really affecting modern man, I mean human being, in all eras, but especially today. What do you say about that? How can you explain this?
In many African languages, the word for dance and the word for spirit and the word for breath are the same words. So that's significant. And of course in the Bible too, and in many languages around the world, spirit and breath are the same words. So how do you get breath going? How do you get spirit going? Well, dance is obvious. You can't dance for very long without breath. And of course, ancient peoples around the world, Africa, America, Australia, and everything, prayed by dancing. And of course, the Jewish people also prayed a lot by dancing, and Jesus prayed by dancing. But unfortunately, the church, especially with Augustine's influence, has tended to look down on that. Although even in the medieval church, you had the processions, and of course in the cathedrals, you don't have benches screwed to the floor. You have chairs that can be moved. You have the labyrinth, the whole movement. So there was movement in a lot of Christian Catholic practices, but dance, as we're doing it, would be something very refreshing. But yes, dance takes us down into the lower chakras. That's its importance, because I think the earth is dying, literally, because both education and religion in the West is happening just from the neck up. And yet our heart and our moral outrage is in our lower chakras, the heart, the fourth chakra, the lower outrage in the third chakra. That's where we have to tap into that anger. Aquinas again says nothing great happens without anger. So we have to tap into that anger energy of outrage to get people moving again, get them out of denial and off their comfortable couches and working to preserve the earth. So there are tremendous political and psychological implications to bringing back prayer as dance and dance as prayer. And doing it together creates such community and such beauty. See, in being present at all these masses, I see how much joy comes over people's faces when they're dancing. And this is interesting footnote. We've never, in 100 masses, had a problem with children. You don't need a crying room for children, because dancing is so natural for kids. And if they get tired, they get on the shoulder of their daddy and they keep dancing. It's just so beautiful to have all the generations represented. And once there was an 84-year-old woman at our mass, and she came to me and she said, it took 3 buses for me to get here tonight. I had to take 3 buses. By the time I'm through dancing, she said, there are going to be no buses running, so someone's going to have to take me home, she said. I have been waiting 82 years for someone to invite me to connect my love of prayer with my love of dance. Now, so there you have it. The oldest and the youngest are at home in this circumstance. It's only prelates, self-conscious prelates, who are busy preening themselves behind pretty robes that so out of touch with dance and spirit that they would resent a mass like this. But we won't invite them. But back to the chakras. You want me to talk more about the chakras?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay. Thomas Aquinas defines sin as misdirected love. That's a very Jewish definition, because the word for sin in Hebrew means, it's an archer term. It means to shoot the arrow and miss the bullseye. So it's a miss. So Aquinas is saying all sin is about love. It's just love in the wrong direction. It's missing real love. So I thought about that because I was writing a book on evil, and I realized the church has so committed reductionism on evil by talking about sin all the time. that in many ways Western consciousness doesn't have language for evil anymore, because thinking people have given up thinking about sin, and yet we're capable of so much evil in the destruction, for example, that we're doing to the planet. So I wrestled with how to come up with new language, and this is what I came up with, that the 7 capital sins of the West may find a parallel in the 7 chakras of the East, because the 7 chakras are telling us our points of strength and love throughout our physiology and psychology. Then maybe a sin is an off-center chakra. So that's what I do in my book. It's called Sins of the Spirit, Blessings of the Flesh, Lessons for Transforming Evil in Soul and Society. So I connect the 7 chakras to the 7 capital sins and see their correspondence. And it was quite amazing. For example, the 7th chakra, here located here in your head, is about the kundalini, the light going up your whole body, and then going into the world from the top of your head. And linking up with other light beings, including angels, but other people in the community who are trying to do good things. Envy, on the other hand, recognizes the other light beings also, but instead of linking up with them, it wants to shoot them down. It's competitive. And envy is very, very powerful. It leads to war. I think it has a lot to do with that reptilian brain. And so to name envy and realize its relationship to the culminating chakra, I think that's very practical and useful. Another chakra is the throat. Of course, the Latin word for throat is gluteus. So the sin associated with throat is gluttony. But gluttony is not just about eating too much and drinking too much. It's consumer capitalism. It's taking all the crap that our advertisers want to sell us. And it's an affront to the throat, because the throat is really a birth canal for our wisdom. It's located between the heart and the mind chakra. So it should be free to give birth to, and that's clear in the green man, for example. The green man archetype, he has bows coming out of his mouth, his 5th chakra, because he's giving birth. He's generative of his wisdom. But I think consumer capitalism is a conspiracy against the 5th chakra, because it gags us. We're gagging on things instead of really speaking our wisdom of praise and our wisdom of justice and compassion. The 3rd chakra is about is located in our belly, and the word for compassion in Greek that's used in the New Testament of Jesus means literally his bowels turned over. So compassion begins in the 3rd chakra. That's where our moral outrage is. That's where we're strong. If you ever do Tai Chi or Aikido, you're taught to ground yourself in that 3rd chakra. That's where you center yourself. So that's when that 3rd chakra is healthy. But when it's unhealthy, we have violence. Anger is not a sin. Aquinas was clear on that. Augustine was not. Augustine said it was a sin. Anger is not a sin. It's an energy. It's a powerful energy we want to tap into. Violence is the sin. Violence can take us over. So nonviolence, too, is really dealing with that 3rd chakra. Then talk about the first. Of course, the 2nd chakra is sexuality. We know how badly the church has kicked that one down the road, so we don't have to talk about that. And again, I will say this one thing. The word lust has become a negative word, thanks to Augustine and the church. But the truth is, if you're happy to be alive, you should be praising lust every day, because your parents had lust enough to bring you into the world. Now, if you're unhappy about being here, then of course lust would be sinful to you. So let's get over lust. But the 1st chakra is very important.
Maybe someone in Vatican are not so happy to be here.
Exactly. So they're selling their unhappiness. And they want everyone to take vows of celibacy. Yeah, and keep them like they do. Anyway, the 1st chakra is really interesting, I think, because it's located at our tailbone. And that bone is actually called the sacrum, the holy bone. And what it is, it's our tail. If we had a tail, like other mammals do, it would be there. And what does a tail do for a dog or a cat? I think it's an antenna. I think it picks up vibrations. And we now know, of course, that every atom in the universe is vibrating. And so every atom is making music. Now, our ears can't pick up all that music, although Hildegard of Bingen did. She talks about picking up the music of the spheres and all the rest. And we have instruments now that are picking up the music that that literally the spheres are making, and the movement of the planets and all that. They are making music because they're vibrating and stirring up vibration. But my point is this, that this is the cosmic chakra. You see, you connect to the cosmos through our first chakra, and this is why you have to dance. Because the first chakra is connected to the knee. There's a minor chakra in the knee and a minor chakra in the foot. And this is the wisdom of indigenous people. To dance and pray is to keep you connected to the earth and then to the cosmos. So the sin associated with the first chakra is tribalism. Living in only your little world instead of the big world, the cosmos. Only your little anthropocentric society, your little sect, instead of Mother Earth. And this is why returning to dancing and the first chakra is so vital today. Now we can also have the sixth chakra here, the middle eye. I think for me that is the chakra of the marriage of right and left hemisphere. By rationality is killing the planet. As Einstein says, rationality without intuition is very dangerous, has no values. So it's mysticism, the right brain, and analysis and intellect, the left brain, marrying, coming together. In the center, you see, it's a marriage thing. Another thing I do in my book is I connect the seven sacraments to the seven chakras and the seven capital sins. And that's interesting too, you know.